It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Koss.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Whenever you want to listen to the show, we are here for you. Whenever that is. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. Welcome to Swipe Wrong Podcast. I am Koss. I am that guy. We are the number one podcast amongst people who are not tall enough to ride this ride. Whatever. Yeah. So we'll roll with that. Welcome to the show. I'm that guy, like I said. So just a little bit of housekeeping. We'll just start there. Like, follow, subscribe, share with your friends. As you know, hopefully by now, we want to hear everybody's stories. So 317-426-6616. Text us, call us, whatever you want to do. Let us know. Email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. I want your story. I want all your stories. Some of your stories are crazier than others. Some are great stories. Some are, hey, we found somebody. We found each other on this app. We've been married for X amount of years. And 2.5 kids with the white picket fence. We want that story too, because the journey is what it's all about. Like, people need to know at some point there is a happy ending. It isn't just all types of bloodshed and chaos out there. So that's why I want that story too. This week, we're catching, holidays come through and then we record, and there is some Netflix binging, I'm not gonna lie. And a lot of times with some of the shows that I was watching, you just kind of catch up with the people who were in the shows earlier, and we've done that a few times. Like, we caught up with The Polygamist, we caught up with The Polygamist Part 2, we caught up with a couple other people, but we've had some reoccurring people on the show like a few times. Date Like a Dude's been on a couple of times. This guy's been on a couple of times too, and you know what, him and I were talking, and I'm like, bro, we just need to throw this into a show, because I think a lot of other people are feeling the same frustration that you are. Like, there's all different types of frustration that we have when we go through the apps. A good date, a bad date, good sex, bad sex. Like, all the levels that we talk about of going through of compatibility can lead to all different forms of frustration. And at this point, dude was done with the apps. He's like, I'm just done. I'm over it. And so you can hear the story, you can hear why, and kind of go from there. So here's what you do. You sit back, or you relax, you put your feet up, you grab your popcorn, you get it buttered if you want to get it buttered. And if you're traffic, please don't hit that person next to you. We would appreciate that. And hopefully you enjoy I'm Done with the Apps.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
When we check in, it seems like you're on the apps, you're off the apps. The journey of the apps for you, like how was it going a couple of months ago?
It's that experience both. I think I'll use both words there.
Yeah, you're really good.
It was enjoyable, man. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy learning about myself. Ass is still not on the menu. That actually came up recently.
Did it really?
Not that specific question of would you eat the ass.
Well, let me side note this. Anybody who's popped in who hasn't listened, you were on that episode where a couple episodes, but one of them was ass is not on the menu. So that's you. That's why you're referencing it.
So, but no, that, meeting people is good. Learning about yourself is critical, I think, to growth, which I think was the intended consequence overall for me. Making connections and potentially meeting someone who would be in a long-term relationship, obviously aside, just being able to experience new perspective, new people, and being a transplant to this area and not knowing a huge group of people within my network, becoming single. Obviously, pre-divorce, it was a different conversation, but starting that journey over as a single guy, in my 40s, the apps allowed me a mechanism to get out and branch out and meet the people that I otherwise probably wouldn't have met. Being that I live relatively out of the quote unquote market of social thickness, if you will, like
social thickness, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the dating pool is not thick locally.
Are we doing whatever that song from a small town dating pool? Is that what we're doing?
Exactly. I know everyone who knows everyone who knows everyone here.
Yeah.
I gotta go a ways to get away. But I took a pause, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And I had only been having conversations with a handful of women anyway. My Rolodex, if you will, was always thin. It was never really heavy. And I took a pause, and when I decided to go back to the apps, it coincided with an opportunity to meet a few other people not on the apps, which I reconnected with someone that I had known for a while, who I'd met at the gym. And then through a mutual friend of ours, obviously there was a unique dialogue that kind of started, but never really started. And when I got back on the apps, I connected with a few people and arranged for times to get together. And 3 for 3 was just straight up basically ghosted.
All within like how long?
Within 2 weeks. It was
really?
One of them, there was never a plan put in place because I don't really feel like she was interested, which was fine. I would have preferred to have just been given the polite nod of, hey, thanks, but I'm good, because that would have been okay. But the other two, it was committed to a time, committed to a place, and then day of, hey, green light or red light, and it was no light. It was like, okay, so we're not doing this. And I learned my lesson the first time I was ever ghosted. It was the lonely guy at the bar buying drinks, looking at his phone.
Sure.
I learned that lesson. That
was the one with the restaurant review, right?
Yes. That was my restaurant review one, which I still think is hands down like my greatest contribution to the dating thing.
So you're gonna have to so people are like, what the fuck is he talking about? And we're speaking in code, so you're gonna have to expand on that one.
Yeah. So here's the story on that one. So there's one of my favorite little Mexican restaurants, is two towns over, if you will. Great food, authentic, great margaritas, delicious. And I had arranged a time to go out on a date with this chick, and got there, and we had talked that morning, like confirmed we're going. Got there, and about 40 minutes in, didn't hear anything. I had a drink, had another drink. The waitress is like, do you want another one? I was like, no, I think I'm getting stood up here. I'll just get my check for my couple drinks and go. She brought me a shot. She's like, do you like tequila? I was like, well, who doesn't? So I got a free shot out of it. She felt bad for me.
Very cool of her.
Yeah, when I got in the truck, I decided to send a video message to my potential date, just giving her a review of the restaurant. Now, granted, I've been there plenty of times, so I already love the place. But I thought, what a fun way to let her know that, like, I'm not pissed off. I'm just kind of annoyed.
Right.
But also, like, what a comical way to let someone know, hey, like, it's kind of a dick move, but at the same time, here's something you can giggle about. And I reviewed the restaurant. Said the margaritas were strong. They were very tasty. The chips and salsa provided at the beginning of my adventure were awesome. And I think at the end of it, I said 5 out of 5 would recommend you should definitely come try this place.
And you guys ended up going, right?
Not only did we end up going to that exact restaurant, and this chick and I, we ended up, cool chick, buddied up, and until she just kind of disappeared. But we went, I want to say it was around Cinco de Mayo.
Oh,
and there was
wow.
a photographer taking pictures for their social media stuff, and he took a picture of her and I having lunch, and it made their Facebook run
No doubt.
because my boss sent me a screenshot of it, and she was like, "Hey, look at you, Mr. Famous," and it was the picture of me and this chick at lunch at the restaurant that I had reviewed for her when she stood me up the first time we tried to go out.
How
So,
long was it from the date she stood you up to when you guys went, roughly? I mean, if you were to guess, say.
probably a month. I don't know. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
hmm,
So it circled back pretty quick. So she got a kick out of your restaurant review.
well, so she hit me up the next day and was like pretty apologetic about it,
Yeah.
and she didn't have a good reason. I think she was just, either cold feet or whatever. But, sometimes just that icebreaker of, all right, this guy's not a psychopath. Like how he, I think how guys handle rejection sometimes can be a pretty big tell on just their personality and their approach to things. And I think that was like, all right, I can kind of let the fist down a little bit and not have to worry about any type of a weird confrontation.
So let's go full circle. Well, in my head, full circle. This is probably like fucking a Rubik's Cube. So whatever. Like how you handled that probably got you, whatever, to go out with her instead of her totally blowing you off and never going out again. And I think it's like the same way that how a woman handles a dick pic. Like if you handle it with the humor of like, oh my gosh, is that a child's penis you just said? Like, or just something like, is it cold outside? Just some, as opposed to being mortified. Like you could have easily said, an anger text instead of a humorous text. And it's so like, it's almost like when they don't get that reaction, the other person, not like she was looking for it, but probably expected it. She probably expected you to anger text her. Definitely didn't expect a restaurant review.
No, well, and the first time that I had been stood up or ghosted or whatever, I my text response to that individual was like, "Hey, I hope you're like." Always the first thing is like, "Fuck, I hope they're all right."
Yeah, 100%.
You don't hear
100%.
from someone. Damn, man, I just, God forbid you were in a car accident or something. I don't know you, but you're on your way to see me, so I hope that you're okay.
Right.
That first time, the very first time I was ever stood up, I just sent a follow-up. Was like, "Hey, just for future reference, like this is a real dick thing to do. Like, just don't be an asshole. Like, tell somebody if you're not coming." And like that, I just left it at that. And obviously, never heard from that chick again. But yeah, the restaurant review thing, I think you're right. Like how women handle dick pics for sure. Now, unsolicited dick pics. My favorite thing is like, why do you have child porn? Not why?
Yeah.
That is
so
the
good.
greatest. Oh, I'm so glad that I got to hear that. Is definitely the best approach to that because it's so funny. But it does lighten the mood, like and I'm not a big. I don't send dick pics. Like that's not my thing. I know that's not your thing either.
Right.
Unless it's that guitar pic thing.
I send one. It's the guitar pic that says dick on it. Yeah.
But I can imagine that a dude sending a dick pic, there's a lot of angst behind that. If it's solicited, like how is she going to respond, type of thing.
If it's solicited, oh sure, maybe, okay.
Yeah. Like you get nervous, and if if you haven't been sexual with that person, or it's that first time breaking that barrier of the intimacy thing of like showing somebody your Johnson's kind of a big step for
yeah. I mean, it is.
It's probably like, okay, this isn't even going to tickle going in, or
right,
shit, right, and we don't have experience, but anyway, definitely a fun approach, and if I find myself in that position ever again, 100% will be repeating that.
But like, 100%. into I don't know. As we're talking about this, like my thought is like the unsolicited dick pic, and like I said, we don't send them. But like I can imagine a guy hitting send, and the last thing he's gonna think the response is gonna be is, "Why are you sending me a child?" Like that's like so far, like he's thinking anger, he's thinking she wants to get some, he's thinking all this other stuff. Not that, and so like it's the oh fuck. But in your scenario, when you sent the restaurant review, hers was like, "Oh fuck, that's cool." So it's kind of funny. That's I love that. I mean, I think obviously we were talking throughout that date, and I don't know how we landed on that, but that was a solid move. So you ended up going out with her, and things kind of trailed off. So you were on.
That was just a good connection, met somebody who would have been a friend thing. There would never been any
Yeah.
type of there. I don't
Good
think.
people meeting good people. I love
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
And then so I don't know, man. So you were going through a phase where on the apps, even you were meeting some in person, you're meeting some, and then they just kind of fell through. So then what? You just ended up are you canceled out? Is that pretty much what happened?
Yeah. So officially, as of I don't know, 2 months ago, probably, I deleted everything
Okay.
to do like a genuine detox. And I don't know if it's because I I got to a place mentally where I didn't want to invest that time. But I don't remember who said it on one of your shows, but like you have to go into it wanting to get out of it what you're willing to invest into it type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, at a place where I knew I didn't want to invest the appropriate energy.
Sure.
And I don't necessarily know that I wanted to swipe just to swipe.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for an ego boost anymore. And in the beginning, that's what it was. I think it was, you're starting over. You haven't been single for a long time. You haven't dated as an adult per se. After 12 years in a relationship and 8 years of marriage, like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. And obviously the landscape's changed. So in the beginning, the ego thing goes away, and it's like, all right, I do still got it. And then you get to a place where I was, I think recently, where it was like, like I've got other things I want to invest my energy into personally. Uh, I've had some connections at the gym where I've been, there's a coworker of mine who is working on getting her personal training certificate. And she's a huge yogi, and she's done a lot of different things. And, working with her and teaching her different movements in the gym has inspired me to kind of, put some more specific focus on my own goals and progress. Because I've just been in this constant phase of maintenance, if you will. And I don't want to bore anybody with gym speak, but I'd rather invest my energy into that than swiping on the sites and, making time for something that I obviously don't really have an invested energy in right now. So I deleted everything. And, if I go back, great. And if I don't, also great. But it's just one of those things I was like, I'll take some time away.
Yeah. Well, the holidays are always interesting for people. Some people are like, hey, I need to be on the apps. I think ego boost is an interesting way of saying it because I think that's so associated negatively, but and it's more associated obviously with men than it is with women. You could say moxie boost for women. I don't know what you might say, but I can, everything that I've learned over the last 2 years of doing this show, everybody, it seems like when they come out of a long relationship, whether it be a divorce, engagement, or just a relationship, they need that ego boost when they get on the apps. Like that is a necessity. Do I still have it? Am I still desirable? Do people still want me? So that ego boost is needed. Like I think that's so torn into as a bad thing. Like, oh, they just want to, yeah, get the ego boost because you got to feel good about yourself. I've never thought that's a bad thing. You were just
Well,
way beyond that point.
Yeah. And I
You
think,
didn't need that anymore.
and to kind of put a bow on that thought that you just had, I think, when you come out of a relationship, whether you wanted to end it or you were on the receiving end of getting the bad news, there's always self-doubt, I think, that creeps in. If you're the one ending the relationship, it's why did I invest all this time for it to only end here? And is that a me thing or a her, them thing? Or the reverse side, if someone breaks it off with you, what was I doing wrong? I mean, that's the first question we always ask when somebody tells you something that you don't want to hear or a relationship ends. It's like, well, what the hell? And then you got to go meet somebody else. And, there's been time in between most of the time, unless people are just jumping from one relationship to another, which happens. But it's, you got to learn from those mistakes, or what did I do that I need to do differently, or whatever it is. And there's a lot of unknown. And, as you and I both know, the fear of the unknown is such a debilitating thing.
For so many
people are afraid to make decisions because of that fear that actually doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
So it's
for so many people. The only ones that are okay, it seems like after a divorce or breakup, are the ones who say, "Hey, by the way, it's not me, it's you." That's and you never hear that. It's not me, it's you. It's usually it's not you, it's me, and then you're still, even though you're saying that to kind of deflect the blow a little bit, you still have some doubts. But when you're like, "Hey, it ain't me, it is totally you," then usually the moxie or the ego isn't needed nearly as much.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
So so now it's just chill mode then, huh? Just kind of like are you doing this whole in the wild thing possibly?
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I'm down for the wild. Bring on the wild. I'd like to think that I'd be okay thriving in the wild. So we'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm just, the digital stuff's going to take a break for a while for sure. And hey, you never know, right? At the beginning of every new year, there's an influx of people into the gym for about 3 or 4 weeks. So maybe I might meet some new people. In fact, yesterday I was training and a female came in that I'd never seen before. And I was like, oh, hi there. So we'll see.
Well, I figure you've got a good influx until the first till Valentine's Day, because after that it goes back to normal.
Yeah, normally by the end of February, it's just back to the regular faces. And you might have one or two people that hang on tight, but most of the people who start that shit at the beginning of the year, it's fleeting. It's very, very fleeting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those New Year's resolutions. Yeah, you need to do it on 1/1 for no good reason at all.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, really, you haven't been on any dates then, huh?
No, I can't tell you the last time I went on a first date.
So what's going on? Is it just going through people you know? Like you're just hanging out with people who you've created, I don't want to say relationships with, but connections with?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And again, that's a short list, which is good because I'm not putting a lot of time into being available. The last thing I want to do is be in a situation where like having conversations and not be able to get time with people. Like time's the most important thing with any connection. If I can't get time with somebody, like what am I doing type of thing. And wanting to invest more time in myself right now and be a little selfish, which I haven't been for a long time, I think is another driving caveat to why I did step away. Knowing, of course, that like I'm still open to the conversation of meeting people and going out and being social and all that other stuff. I think it's just if it happens, it'll be one of those occurrences that happens in the wild. It won't be something that I'm out actively seeking on an app or whatever. Did you ever really like being on the apps? Yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike it. Otherwise, I don't think I would have stayed on it for as long as I did. I think it's fun to see how people promote themselves. I think that's always interesting to read. And, I'm one of the rare people in this world of swiping that read profiles. I feel like a lot of people say, people don't even read this. Sure. If you like my tits, swipe right or whatever it is. Yeah, sure. But, I like reading profiles and, like you catch some really funny shit. Hilarious. 8 one-liners. And, I still think I've grabbed some screenshots of like chicks in really funny sweatshirts and, like one-liner things that are just really, really funny. But then you also see the really watered down, what is it? Little sassy, little classy, little smart assy shit. And it's like, okay, I've read that a million fucking times. Let's get a little more creative. Yeah. 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 It's enjoy. The apps are fun. I think if you're a single person and you want to meet somebody, but in the stigma, I feel like the stigma of being on an app is so far gone in today's
totally. It's almost the stigma of meeting in person. Like wait a second.
Literally flipped. And I don't know if that was a COVID thing or just the more digital that we've gotten as a society with social media and stuff. It's just easier and convenient because that's what people do all day anyway. But, it's fun. Like, why wouldn't you want to, again, it's self-promotion, right? Like, how much self-confidence do you have to put some pictures together and try to find a way to describe yourself that doesn't sound like some, arrogant, full of yourself individual, which can be a challenge, I think. And, most of the time people say, oh, I don't really like talking about myself. And the apps force you to do that, or you don't have a profile put together and then nobody swipes on you except for the people that just want to fuck you and be done.
Yeah, I think like when people are first out of relationships and they jump on the apps, it's like eyes wide open. It's like, oh my God, this is oh my God, this is like sensory overload. You just want to be on there 24/7 and, you're going to get the premium so you don't run out of swipes. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. And all of a sudden you're talking to 15 different people. And then all of a sudden, if you haven't, created that connection, you're and granted, there isn't anybody who doesn't like sex. I mean, almost everybody likes sex unless there's some sort of medical issue or you've been married for 20 years. So everybody's having a good time doing that. But eventually you're just kind of like, all right, so what do I do here now? Because like you're like, all right, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I don't. Like I can't remember last time I've really messed around and done anything on the apps. I mean, it's just life is busy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, and I think, as your agendas changed individually and, people prioritize different things, like myself right now, right? Like the apps are gone because I've got other priorities. And the dating aspect of stuff is taking a back seat. You have to decide like what invested energy are you going to put? And like you said, it is overwhelming and it is sensory overwhelming. You want to see, fuck, who is out there that's in this category that I filtered down to meet my quote unquote requirements for a partner or a connection or whatever.
Right.
What is the age range of people in my area that are out there, and how far away are people that I would connect with and potentially have a good time with on whatever level.
Right.
Like we were talking earlier, if you live in a small town out in the middle of nowhere like I do, and I'm pretty rural, you run through that pretty quick, and then you're all right. 30 miles comes 35 miles. 35 miles comes 40 miles. 40 miles comes, oh shit, I'm 60 miles away.
Yeah.
And there's 300 some odd million people in the country. Like, there's a ton of there's so many people to meet.
Yeah. People say all the time, I don't mind driving a couple hours. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. All right. And there's a lot of people around you, though. I promise you that. I promise you that. So either way, well, I guess, yeah, that's the thing we talk about too a lot. The pursuit of happiness looks different for everybody. So like, I guess the main thing too that I take is you don't have to stay on the apps, man. Like a lot of people are just like, I know I'll find something. I'll know I'll find something. Boy, a digital detox, as you put it, or just a cleanse from the apps, or just, shut it off to just, I don't know, realign yourself is never, ever, ever a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think, and again, I'm about 2 months into this process. What I will tell you is you forget about it really quick. So if you're listening to the show and you're somebody who is, taking a lot of at-bats and striking out, if you will, unplug, delete them. Don't do the sleep mode thing. Delete the apps. Just delete them off. You can always download them again and re-sign in. It's not like I still get emails from Bumble to this day. You have 3 notifications. Like, bitch, I'm not even signed in anymore.
Yeah.
But just do the detox and get away from it and realign yourself. And, if and when I go back on, we can do a check-in report of how I'm approaching it differently, maybe, because I'm sure that if I take another at bat with the apps, then I will have, just keep it in baseball terms. I'll take a different approach to what I'm swinging at and all that other stuff.
That's also what we learned too. It's always internal.
2 weeks into having them gone, it's like I never even fucking had.
Yeah.
You immediately are just like, yeah, it's not there for me to go check. Who cares?
Yeah. You're downloading Clash of Clans or some shit like that.
Not downloading Clash. I just did a commercial for that last night though.
Like, what? All right, man. Well, I figured we need to know. Well, anyway, there's the dates that are going to be out there. So, well, maybe as you start meeting them, we'll have to find out the in the wild segments.
Into the wild with Wood.
In the wild, yeah, because dating in the wild, that's got its own mixed bag. That's for sure.
Still gonna, and I don't know if you've talked about this on one of the shows or we just talked about it, but I'm still just gonna throw shit in somebody's cart one day and be like, oh no, I can't wait to pull that off at the grocery store.
Yep, was totally my move for a while, man. Just be like, oh, let me throw that. Oh shoot, I'm sorry, was that yours? And then you just it's the immediate icebreaker, and it's got some pretty good results.
I was impressed, and I wish you'd do it to me because I'd take you out for a drink.
Thanks, pal. I appreciate it. Thank you for being along for the ride of the Swipe Wrong podcast. Remember, everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world. The show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. So make sure to check that out. Also, I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about the pod. And if you have something that you want to share, please, we want to hear from everybody and get everybody's stories as much as we possibly can. Email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail. Let us know if it's okay to call you back. 317-426-6616. Thanks for being along for the ride. And next week, the saga continues.